Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a great day so far. So today I'm going to be ranking my mini palettes. Why? I hear you ask, why mini palettes? I love these ranking videos because I think that they're really helpful. If you're ranking by brand, it kind of gives you an idea what the best of each brand is, you know, ranking my Natasha Denona palettes, ranking my Pat McGrath palettes. One, it just helps you guys decide if you just want to pick one palette up from a brand, which is the best, which is my favorite, which are the top few that I would recommend starting with. I think they're really helpful. But I feel that mini palettes do something unique. What they offer you is an ability or opportunity to try formulas from brands without spending three figures. You know, they give you a taste of the brand, a taste of the brand's formulas, the performance, without a huge price tag. So if you want to try Natasha Denona or Pat McGrath shadows, but you don't want to spend £120, then the quads are an excellent place to see if it's worth the money for you. If you're not a huge eyeshadow person, you're not going to use a palette that's got 20 shades in it, for example. A mini from Natasha Denona, you've got 5. It's much less intimidating. It does the work for you when it comes to what goes where, the placement, the choices, the combinations, the colours. I feel like minis are much more wallet friendly, but also much more beginner friendly. Just someone who's not super comfortable with eyeshadow and knowing what goes where and colour combinations. You can't really go wrong with mini palettes. So I included palettes that have up to 5 shadows. I don't necessarily mean mini as in the size, because there's things like the Viseart palettes that are Diddy, like the Paris Edit, for example, that I own that is Diddy, but it has like a lot more shadows in it, so it's kind of tricky to compare. So what I decided to do was cut off the line at 5 max shadows. So I have quads and quints to share and to rank for you. We've got Tom Ford, we've got Natasha Denona, we've got Pat McGrath, and we've got Charlotte Tilbury, and that's pretty more, no, that is it. It's not pretty much it. That's what we have. So I'm going to rank all of the quads and quints that I have from those brands for you, starting off with my least to my most favourite and why. Let's get started. So I have 11, which is horrifying for me. I'd much rather there was 10. Like, I could throw one away, but that seems a bit extreme, but it really does hurt me to my core that there are 11 of these. I just want to throw that out there. So in 11th place, I wonder how much this is going to shock you. I feel like some of these are going to shock you. Controversial. But in 11th place, it's Mini Glam from Natasha Denona. Now, she hasn't done anything terribly wrong to me. It's a decent quint. These words are going to get confusing, but there's just nothing that exciting about it. I always take this. If I travel, go away for the weekend, I will take this because it's a very basic palette. It's the most basic when it comes to these quints, I feel, but there's just nothing that exciting about it. And I feel like although it's a very basic neutrals palette that, I guess, you know, by its nature should be a little bit boring, there's still a couple of weird shades in here that I just don't know that they belong in here. Like this one is just too light for me. It just really just doesn't do anything. This shade is just a little out of sync for me with the others, and I wish this was not quite as deep, or I guess if this one was darker, that one would be fine, but I don't have like a transition shade in here. I've got like a smoky shade and a brow bone shade, so it's a tricky little combo for me. It looks perfect for an easy everyday go-to soft glam, but it actually isn't for me. I think if you have much lighter skin and you can use this as a transition shade, it may be better. If you have deeper skin and therefore this is a better transition shade, then you may love it more. For me, I just feel like it doesn't quite hit the mark as much as it looks like it would for me. But the quality is definitely there. They're nice shadows, and some of these shimmers are just stunning. These two end shimmers, I do love them. But yeah, that's why. I don't hate it, but that's why it's at number 11. And next up, the palette I have on my eyes now, my only Tom Ford palette in general, of any size, and it's Daydream. That's the palette I'm wearing today. This is my newest, I think, my newest mini, my newest quad or quint to my collection. Can't even open it. That's not a good start. Here we go. She's open. Finally, we get there. So this one I actually picked up from a discount store, one of the cosmetic company stores, and luckily because I don't hate it. It's just okay for me. I like it. I like this look that I got today, but I find the colours in here are just quite sheer. There isn't the opacity that I expect from these other brands, and Natasha Denona's, your Pat McGrath's, your Charlotte Tilbury's. It just doesn't have the pigmentation. So formula wise, I don't love it. The colour story, love it. It's gorgeous. I don't have anything like it. These sort of smoky violet shades in combo are just gorgeous. I just wish that the formula was a little better, but yeah, it does, like this look today, I like it. I think it makes my eye colour pop, it suits my eye colour, but yeah, I just find the formula a little tricky to work with as much as I love the colour story. So she's 10th place. Now in 9th place, another Natasha Denona, and this one I just really never use. It's the Mini Love palette, that's right, isn't it? Yes, Mini Love. She is my shades, but I think because I have a lot of palettes like, you know, Divine Rose 2, Divine Rose 1, the larger Love palette, this one just gets lost. Again, I take it if I travel, and I think it's much more cohesive. Like it does essentially one look, but it's very cohesive. You know, you start with this one, deepen up, inner corner, lid shade, and then extra sparkle lid shade. Like it does that one thing. It's very, very easy to understand where to place things for the best, but it does that one look very beautifully, very cohesively. But again, I'm just like, if I'm going to reach for these colours, I'll tend to reach for my larger palettes. This one's just, it's kind of neither here nor there for me. It's definitely like a mini version of the Love palette, so it's perfect if you want a Love palette on a budget in a smaller size. Maybe you just don't want huge palettes taking over your entire makeup space. A very perfect representation of the larger Love palette in a diddy little size. But for me, because I do have a lot of larger palettes, this colour story, this one just kind of falls by the wayside for me. And now for my lowest rank Pat McGrath quad. What do you think it is? I think you're going to know what it is. It's Eternal Eden from the Divine Rose collection. It's a lovely little quad, but as you will see when we talk about the others, it's just very unexciting. It's, again, it's very cohesive, very easy to get a look from here. There's no thought process. You've got the exact perfect shades. You've got your satins, you've got your crease shades, you've got your lid shades. You've got everything you need in here to make a beautiful eyeshadow look. For me, there's no, you know, special shades in here, so that makes it a little less exciting for a Pat McGrath quad, but it certainly does the job. The formula in here is beautiful. This is a made in USA palette. As I've said before, I prefer her Italian made palettes. They are just supreme, you know, including her special shades. That makes it more exciting for me. But I think just this colour story, it's just quite muted, and therefore it's just not as exciting as some of her other quads, but it's perfect for every day. It's beautiful. It's a very soft, everyday, easy look. But for me, it's less exciting and special than some of her other quads, but it will do the job. And if you're looking for a muted rose eye colour for every day, then it will do the job. In 7th place, we have our first Charlotte Tilbury quad, and it is Desert Haze. This is the perfect soft glam, no makeup in a quad. It's like, you can see it's very well used. I really enjoy this. It's all matte, which for this purpose is exactly what I want. I don't want any shimmers when I'm trying to do that no makeup soft glam. You've got a couple of shades for your crease, a perfect lid shade for me, and a smoky or a liner shade if you want to do a shadow wing liner. Perfect. It's just very, very perfect. It could not be more boring though, could it? It couldn't be any more boring than this. This is literally as boring as it gets. It's perfectly functional. It does exactly what I want it to do. I love the formula of these three. This one's a little tricky at times, but it's, yeah, it does that one thing. It does it perfectly, but it's boring. It is. It's very, very boring, and that's why it's a little lower, but you know, it does the job. I take it everywhere with me whenever I go somewhere. Can't complain about it, but you know, it doesn't tickle my pickle as much as some of these other ones. In 6th place, we have another Natasha Denona Quint, and it is a Mini Gold. Mini Gold. Was this my first Mini Natasha palette? I think it probably was, you know. I think this one is perfect. This was like my first greens palette, I think. And it's just got everything you need it to have in here. You know, it's got your first shade, it's got your green matte, it's got a richer smoke up the crease shade, and then it's got your perfect green shimmer lid shade, your olive lid shade that was exactly wheezing what I was looking for. And then what I like to do is add a bit of this gold in the inner corner or on top of that green to brighten it up. It's just perfect. If you like greens and you like Natasha Denona's formula, look no further. If you're not a makeup artist or you don't do a lot of eyeshadow, you're not super confident with it, but you want greens, don't worry about Metropolis, don't worry about all the other palettes. This one will do the job perfectly. In 5th place, we're really getting to the loves now. Forget like, we've moved into love territory. We're in the top 5. 5th place, it's Interstellar Icons from Pat McGrath. Oh, this blue is just, oh, love it. I love it. And this shade here, underrated, the most beautiful. Oh, look, I mean, look at that peachy, pinky, and this blue. Oh, I just die. Love it. The other 2 shades in here, you know, they're fine. They're in there. They're doing their thing. The thing about this palette is I love it. I can definitely get a look that I enjoy out of it, but I wish it had a matte. I mean, it's 4, when you look at it, it's 4 random shades in a quad, isn't it? And those shades are all beautiful. Do they work perfectly for the type of look that I want? Definitely not. We've definitely got, I'm definitely missing some things. I wish there was a matte, sort of rich bronze matte in here, or like a brown, some kind of something to put in the crease would be great. There's not really anything. You kind of have to make it work as far as the colour story, or I do anyway, for my preference. So I can get a look that I like out of here, but generally I'm dipping into other palettes, and that's not what we want from mini palettes. Or it's not what I want. I want mini palettes that do the entire job of a large palette on a smaller scale. I know it's a lot to ask for. The audacity of me, frankly, is outrageous, but that's what I want. And I feel, yeah, I wish we had a matte that would make it all, pull it all together. I don't know what this one's doing in here. It doesn't make much sense to me. This sort of, what is it, like a sable in there with a lot of shimmer. It's a gorgeous shade. I just don't, I'm not clever enough to make it all work, is what I'm saying. I can get a look that I like out of here, but like I said, I'm reaching for other palettes. These 2 shades make it a love because they're just so gorgeous, and actually everything ends up working okay. But for me, I wish it was a little more cohesive. I wish there was a matte in there. Can't have everything all of the time, you know. And now for the last Natasha Denona quint, the Natasha Denona mini, that is the highest in this ranking. In 4th place, it's Mini Retro. I had a love-hate affair with this one. I really have seen so many stunning looks with this palette, but none of them on me. I have done none of them, exactly none of them, okay? And yeah, I tried to make this work for months when it first came out. You know, I was seeing other people's looks and thinking they look gorgeous. It just didn't suit me. Something about the undertones or the shades in here didn't suit me, and a lot of people said that it's kind of more suited to fair or lighter skin than maybe medium skin tones, and maybe that's what was going on, or the way I was using it. I guess it's confusing. You know, there's greens and then there's pinks, and I didn't know what was going on, frankly. And then I talked about this in a previous video. I then saw a look from Sasha, who is a makeup artist on Instagram, where she just used these 2 shades. So she went all in the crease, all over the place, all over the shop with the green matte, and then just used this shimmer all over the lid, and I was dying. I literally ran for my life and did that look, and now I just live for it. And I think for me to get this palette to work, it's about using these 2 shades together or these 3 together and not trying to mix the 2, because I think that's when headaches happen. But these 2 shades, just the simplest, most stunning look from 2 eyeshadows that is ever been known to man. you know, and that's why she's my favourite. These next three, oh, this was tricky. This was tricky, like choosing between your children. Can't be done, okay? Just love them all. Love them. They are very different to each other, and there's loves and more loves about each of them. Pros and pros in each of these three. But this is the order that I've had to commit to, and we are where we are. It is what it is, and all of those cliches. In third place, we have Star Aura from Charlotte Tilbury. This could easily have been first or second as well, but I'm having a bit of a moment with one of the other palettes in the top three, and then I just can't look past the number one. You'll see, it'll all make sense shortly. This I just fall more in love with every day. It's so unassuming, and it just looks like nothing special. I wasn't even going to pick this one up, and then I saw Mel Thompson did a review or a look with it, and I was like, okay, well, I need to get it then, of course. And then I used it, and I got it straight away. It's just so easy. I talked about this in my Makeup for Dummies video, because there's just no effort involved here. These shades just all melt together, and there's just no, you can't see where one ends and the other begins. They're perfect. They're all just beautiful. It somehow makes the most natural yet stunning look, and it's just very special palette. It's very clever. There's no mattes in here, yet somehow you don't feel like you're missing them. They just work. It just works. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know what sorcery is in here, but they are just the most perfect family of shimmer. And this stupid sleeve, like thumb holes, seemed like such a great idea, and I don't know why. But it's just a family of the most gorgeous, subtle, pretty shades, and they just all work together like the Addams family or the Whartons. One of those families that is just great. The Whartons, let's say that. It's a fabulous family of 4, 2.4 children, Labradoodle. What's happened? Now in second place is another Charlotte Tilbury palette. One that, to look at it looks glorious. The first few times I used this palette, it was nice, okay? I don't know that I was wowed as much as I thought I would be to look at the palette, and now I am wowed. And it is the Charlotte Tilbury Fire Rose. By the way, not sure what's going on with this. I hear you guys telling me from the US that you can't get hold of this, or it's gone or something, but it's just freely available here in the UK. So that's weird. But that aside, I talked about this recently where I said I used to go in with this ready burgundy matte, then I'd have this shade on like the outer third, and then these two on the middle and first third. So that's where I was going wrong for me. Not wrong necessarily, that's probably what you would think to do with this palette, but for me that just wasn't, it was nice. I mean, I look in here and I think it's all my dreams come true. But then I started using this shade all in the crease and the outer third, just richening it up a little with this shade, and then these two on the lid. Sometimes I go with this shade all over the lid and then top it with this one. Sometimes I just go all over the lid with this one, and then this is like my inner corner shade. But whatever I do, once I swapped the order of these two round, it was just heavenly. And lots of you guys commented saying that you didn't expect this palette was what I was wearing when you saw me wearing this palette, and then you read what palette it was. You were like, oh, it's actually, you've achieved something much softer than they thought this palette, you know, could be very red and overpowering and quite a punchy lot of colour. But when you do it that other way round, it just makes it much more muted and softer and pretty and lighter. So that for me, it changed this palette. Like I say, it took it from like a 7 to a 10 in my book, and that's why it's number 2. And it just makes it really versatile as well. When you can do a softer look and a really dramatic look from a quad, that I just love a bit of versatility, value for money. And speaking of versatility and value for money in a quad, it does not get more versatile or more value for money or more cohesive or any of the above than this top spot, which is why this one is number one, and it's Pat McGrath Risque Rosé. Hands up if this is your first video you watched on my channel and you didn't know this was going to be top, because if you've been here before, you knew it. You knew this was going to be number one, didn't you? I haven't stopped banging on about this one since it came out. This shook me to my core. Again, I wasn't going to pick this up. I think I picked up Interstellar Icons and I thought that's just going to be it. I'm just going to get that one. Then I saw, this is with the problem, my friends, they dragged me down. Morgan Turner's review of this hooked me. I saw this on her eyes and I was like, are you joking? I have to have it. This is an Italian made palette, special shade. It's got a matte, a satin, a shimmer and a special shade. And it's Italian made. So if you want to try Pat McGrath's formulas, but you don't want to dish out on a large palette and spend all of that money, this is going to give you the best of every one of her formulas. You're going to get her best matte, her best satin, her best shimmer, and one of her special shades. But you're not just going to get that. You're not just going to get the best of Pat McGrath in a 4-pan for a bargain price, especially if you wait for sale. But what you're going to get is like 2 or 3 completely different looks out of this palette, and this is the absolute beauty of this palette, is that you can just use this matte and this shade and you've got a very soft, very daytime wearable, easy, soft glam look. You can use these together with this one and you'll just get that beautiful soft rose look that you can deepen up and smoke it out for nighttime. If you go in with the whole hog, the whole shebang, you've got colour and punch and a real show-stopping eye. You've got some real options in here, and I think for that in a quad, that's really hard to achieve, where you don't ever need to reach for another palette. This has got everything you could ever need, and it's all just stunningly beautiful. This shade... It's the thumb hole again. I can't take it off though. I'm sure you're thinking, why isn't she just taking it off her thumb? But I've committed and I won't go back. I mean, let's at least zoom in and give it a chance, because my days, if you like lilacs, violets, purples, then God help you. I mean, the richest, most perfect... It's not on that finger. Oh, just take it off the thumb, woman. I'm doing it. I'm taking the thumb off, okay? I'm doing it for you guys. Taking one for the team. I do it for my gang. I do it for my gang. So this is the matte in the palette. Then we've got the like fuchsia satin. Again, this looks super intimidating in the palette, but can be used really lightly. This shimmer is just so soft and that pretty rose. And then you've got this stunning shade here. But this shade, this sort of aubergine brown shade, this can be used so lightly and softly, and it blends so incredibly well that you can just get a really light wash in the crease and then use this shade and it's super soft. Again, this fuchsia looks so intimidating in the pan, but on the eye is actually much more wearable, muted, or can be much more wearable and much more muted if you want it to be. And again, you can use them all at full punch and just get the most show-stopping look of all life. So there you have it. That's my number one Risque Rosé. You can't go wrong, okay? I mean, the top 5 of these are all absolute loves for me, and there's no duds in here. I don't hate any. There's none that the formula's rubbish or that I don't like at all. You know, even number 11, the mini glam palette, like I said, I'll take this whenever I travel for work or anything like a quick weekend. Then I will take this because it does serve that purpose really well. I'm wearing number 10 today. That goes to show how much I don't hate it. It's just formula wise, it doesn't hit the mark as much as the other brands in the lineup. So there you have it. I think these palettes, these minis, are a great way to try brands at a much smaller price point. Or if you have less space to store your collection, you know, minis, quads and quints, when you pick ones that are really great, you know, there's no need for huge big palettes with 30 shades in if you're not really going to use them all the time. These are much more space saving. They fit into makeup bags and you can travel with them much easier. And for a lot of people, a quad or a quint is all they need the majority of the time. You know, a palette full of 20 shades for lots of people can be a bit intimidating, off-putting. You can get a bit lost and confused by colour combos. So these are great options for lots of us. So I hope you enjoyed this video and you found it helpful, and I'd love to see you in the next one. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye 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 bye.